Devin Ritrosky, and I'm here at the DoubleTree Hotel in Tallahassee, Florida, to interview a successful entrepreneur named JT Burnette. He happens to be the owner of the DoubleTree, Hotel Duval, and many other successful businesses. So this is JT Burnette, owner of Hotel Duval, DoubleTree, and what other businesses do you own?
Partners in several brand information systems, Penny, George Hackney Inc., who's a medical cannabis company, and several others. Started raising chickens when I was 14 years old. Kind of worked my way up through the business sides to multiple different businesses, all the way from construction to IT, hospitality. Made a lot of mistakes and a few wins. So, business is the opportunity effectively to explore, right? And it's the ability to make mistakes, and working for yourself is the opportunity to make those mistakes without somebody killing you. Mm-hmm. You end up killing yourself effectively, financially and physically and mentally. But one thing happened to me when I was young. I think I was 15 years old, and I was sitting at the refrigerator, and I was getting the ice out of the refrigerator. And an ice cube fell out, missed my glass, and fell on the floor. And I looked around, and I kicked the ice cube underneath the refrigerator, instead of leaning down and picking up the ice cube. Okay?
Yeah.
Which would have been simple, absolutely simple to do.
Right.
But I was too lazy to pick up the ice cube. And that moment, when I kicked it on the refrigerator and regretted that I kicked it on the refrigerator, I realized just how lazy people are. And I realized at that moment in time, if you can do something to make someone's life easier, that's effectively what business is.
They'll pay for it.
They will pay for it. And the opportunity is because I realized I wasn't the only person who kicked an ice cube underneath the refrigerator. What I realized is most people were that sorry.
Yeah.
And that lazy.
So that was like your aha moment?
That was my aha moment that says, wow, I want to create things that make people's life better or easier.
Yeah.
Look, when anything changes, okay, there are good and bad ripples that flow in either direction of any change, mm-hmm. Okay? Right? Uber to cabs, right? There's good side of that, right? The consumer side, mm-hmm. And then there's the cab side, right? There's another side that gets affected, right? And if you look, I see them as pebbles falling in the water, okay? And when that pebble hits water, all these ripples come out from it, right? And effectively, I'm in the business of looking at those ripples and seeing what part of the ripple that you want to be on. And cannabis is just that, okay? The legalization of cannabis is a rock hidden in the water, right? And there's a lot of people that are a lot of tranches of this pie, right? It's a pie that's going out. And portions of this pie are getting they're all getting bigger, right? Mm-hmm. And by one side getting bigger, another side's going away. It's going away directionally, but it's really getting hurt the further it moves away from that center point. And what I look at is where, when that pebble hits, opportunity is created, and where do I need to position myself on the right side of those ripples to benefit? Mm-hmm. And that's what cannabis is about, right? It's looking at, okay, a rock is in the water, where do I position myself to be? So look, if you draw the center line and from 0 to 10 is all the way on the outside, we're probably at maybe 0.25.
Okay.
Right? I will probably exit at about 2.5. right? About a quarter of the way into the maturity of the industry. So I think that's where we're at today. It's still a business that, less than 5% of the rules have been set yet, right? I mean, you've got no scientific real research to amount to anything. There's anecdotal evidence of things. You have a product that became illegal through no real fault of its own. DuPont, it was a competition to nylon.
Yeah.
They basically hemp, they got it, it became illegal because it was a market. That's right.
Yeah.
So, how it's going to reform itself is, not very, we don't know yet. So we're at the very beginning. I'm just 100% in the recruiting business of talented people to progress forward, right? Looking for talents that are outside of the industry, bringing them inside to the industry and applying their skill sets to this particular industry.
Okay. Scientists or?
Scientists, process, right? Process engineers.
Okay.
People with cannabis, right? Sales, marketing, designers, right? I mean, look, you have to start from the basics, right? You've got to clone a plant. Someone has to have that kind of experience in actually growing the cannabis. Someone has to then design and engineer a facility to grow.
It's very expensive AC units.
And very expensive AC units, very expensive lights.
Yeah.
Selecting the right location for security. You have to have a security expert, right? You've got to have, a location that has enough power, right? Because, power per square foot is exponentially more than what it is at anybody's house or anywhere else. Then you grow a plant. You've got a raw material. Then you've got to process that material into something that can be sold, oils, flour, whatever it may be, right? Someone has to be an expert in process, right? And this is a medical product, right? Somebody's taking this as medicine. So it's very important that it's consistent, right? Most entrepreneurs end up in a business that they are earning wages and truly don't own a business. You own a business the day when you can leave that business for 6 months and it's okay. You work in a business if you have to show up to work every day. If it requires you, right? And understand, startup will always require you. That's a mandatory piece. But you have to be building it to the point that it doesn't need you. Find the best idea you can. Support that and build a team around it. It depends on what kind of entrepreneur you want to be. If you want to ever have the idea of what entrepreneurialism that most people think it is one day to have the freedom to do the things that you want to do and be able to explore and do the things that you love. You have to get involved with an idea or something that's scalable enough for you to be successful enough to be able to do that.
Mr. Burnette, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me and to give some great advice. I wish you the best of luck with all of your future ventures.